I'm Mike Bowers. I'm talking shit this morning with Chief Photographer for Fairfax, Andrew Meares. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Mike. Come on. You're not saying anything, Mike.
How did Tony turn the story into the story?
Well, there's an expectation of how politicians should react. I mean, there's been a lot of commentary this summer about who's wearing what and how wooden they are or how emotional they are. And I think with that Tony response, it just shocked people's perceptions of how politicians should act. But I think this week showed, with some amazing condolence motions, that surprisingly, politicians can be people.
We've just undergone an election campaign where the public was screaming out for emotion from their politicians, and when they see some, there was cries of cynicism. Do you think it was a real emotion in the House?
Yes, I do. I mean, we're in there a lot. We have these long lenses. We're looking at every little bit of body movement. You're listening intently. And so I think there's no room to hide in such a public forum like that. Yes, it's an adversarial system we've got, and there's focus groups, endless testing things. But when you get down to it, these are people's lives that were being discussed this week. True heroes. You've
witnessed a lot of Prime Ministers through this place. You strongly believe it's a turning point for Julia this week.
I think she was allowed to risk a little. I mean, all that focus group, put that to one side. She had to stand there and speak from the heart. Someone wrote last year that what Gillard needed was a crisis that she could engage with. And I think this was her moment this week.
With the absence of actual tears rolling down the face, the closest you could get, this is one of Gary Ramage's pictures, was basically just removing the excess, basically, when she sat down.
Yeah, I mean, look, one way to look at it is, you're trying to get a tear rolling down her cheek, and that's technically hard to get. But also with that speech, I think she did have to convey it through words, and in a way when she sat down, perhaps there was some more insights into how she was feeling, even though she wasn't actually speaking at that time.
Now, you think Tony is not looking comfortable?
I'm really just contrasting him with the Prime Minister. She relishes that environment. Many have commented on her prowess in the sparring that is Parliament. I'm saying with Tony's facing a whole lot of leaks this week, I'm sure it can't help to be difficult to be sitting there with your detractors sitting behind you.
Yeah, some of Alex's shots show here. Main detractor being Julie. She's if reports are to believe, been behind the scenes doing just that.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we look for little insights in body language, and sometimes you get a great inkling, and other times, well, it's an assumption.
Andrew, it's not often we have to put language warnings at the start of this, but if there's any kiddies watching, I think they should tune away now, because we're going to say the S word a lot. Sean Leahy from the Courier Mail has what's worse than Tony Abbott saying shit happens, with him saying shit happens, it's Tony Abbott saying nothing, which pretty much sums up the entire thing. The story was about the story of him not saying anything.
Yeah, I think I like this cartoon better than Riley's vision, actually. I mean, look at this, a speech bubble with no speech, and then this incredibly crazy response.
David Pope from the Canberra Times, the shit that happened this week. Tony Abbott saying shit happens. Julia Gillard saying shit will continue to happen. Combe saying by 2020 there'll be 24% more shit happening. Ross Garnaut saying if we don't put a price on shit happening, the shit is really going to happen. And across the globe, Mubarak looking out his window going, I still can't believe this shit is happening.
I want to keep this one. I love this. I mean, you've got the wonderfully artistry of the pen that nails these characters perfectly. I love this cartoon.
Look, it's always a great pleasure having you on, Andrew. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Pleasure, Mike.
Would you like a throw?
Back to you, Barry. Be careful. Shit happens.